your side of things. So I want you to answer or to talk to me and ask me yes or no questions, and I'm only going to say yes or no, and then you can report which one I said. And here we
So
go. Getting the
Paul
big sandwich.
Paul is stepping away from his microphone. I think the stream will still be able to hear you, but the podcast won't. So Paul, uh, is there snow on the ground?
I don't know.
You said.
Hold on.
This is an easily verifiable question, sir.
Yeah, ask me again. Sorry.
Paul Goody, is there snow on the ground where you live?
Yes.
Oh, look, it's snowing. Yeah, look at that. So for the people on the podcast, Paul had to actually walk outside, but because apparently the windows don't work in Paul's house. So, and I've been there. The curtains are all closed. Looks like there's some shelves on the wall. Paul Goody, are you looking forward to eating this big sandwich?
Yes.
Yes. Paul Goody, is this big sandwich your dinner?
Yes.
Yes. The big sandwich is Paul's dinner. Paul Goody, are you going to be having a drink along with your big sandwich?
Yes.
Paul Goody, do you consider your drink to be a big drink?
No.
No. It's the first no question. Paul, do you choose what you're going to drink based on what you are eating? Do you pair your drink to your food?
Yes.
Is what you're drinking today carbonated?
Yes. Yes.
That was a very hesitant yes. For the listeners at home, Paul is still in his kitchen. Paul Goody, are you making the big sandwich right now?
No.
No. Okay, so this is a pre-made sandwich apparently, and I can see part of it. It's got a nice brioche bun. It looks like.
Yes.
Paul Goody, is this a leftover?
No.
No. Paul Goody, are you alone in the house?
No.
Paul Goody
I'm coming back.
Paul, is somebody there who you need to tell the authorities?
No.
Okay.
So
Paul Goody, are you in
Jennifer-
danger?
I always. So Jennifer made this sandwich for me. Oh, whoop. You lost me. Hold on. Sorry.
You
Can
lost
you
me.
still see me?
No, I can't. All I can see is your name.
Yeah. So my phone went to sleep. Oh, it happened again.
Zoom name.
Oh, come on. Why are you doing this? Okay.
Now I can see you, and as can our viewers.
So this is the issue: is I don't have, I no longer have my phone case, which was the thing that was allowing me to, have my phone be somewhere.
Our viewers are getting very
plugged
dizzy.
in, while I talked to you, and so okay, I think this is good. I've got it resting in my hand. The phone, that is. Hey, everybody.
Hey,
how's it going?
that's a very festive sweater you've
Merry
got.
Christmas. Oh yeah.
You wearing? It's looks like a Black Santa with a sword.
Uh-huh.
All
And
right.
riding on
Riding on a unicorn.
Yes, indeed.
Have
All
you
right, so
have you seen the trailer for the new movie Death of a Unicorn?
no.
There's a new movie out now, or coming out next year, called Death of a Unicorn. Meh.
What's it about?
A unicorn dies.
Hmm. Okay.
You now know the entire film.
Is it animated?
Changes. No,
Is it-
in fact, I think it stars Paul Rudd.
Hmm. As the unicorn murderer.
Exactly. Actually, I think you're not wrong. Although I'm on a Discord with some friends, and they were all not impressed by this film.
Oh no.
But it's from A24.
Yeah, I like A24.
And they said, in the trailer, from the same studio that brought you Everything Everywhere All at Once comes a new, hilariously scary. I don't think it's multidimensional, but this mystical with brand new types of monsters types of film. And yeah, I mean, I will probably not go see it in the theater because I don't go see a lot of movies in the theater these days.
Now, here's a question for you, Ben. Is
Okay.
there any movie that you are considering seeing in the theater? Because I've got one. I'm considering seeing in the theater.
Well, actually, Paul Goody, now that you mentioned that, I saw a teaser trailer for a new movie that's coming out next year called Superman. Looks like it would be a good cinema flick.
The one I'm thinking of is Nosferatu.
Oh, Nosferatu. I don't. I'm unfamiliar with the new adaptation. It's not like an adaptation of that Joe Hill book, is it? Where it's like Nosferatu is like the license plate code.
No.
Okay.
There has been an adaptation of that, however.
Oh, has there? All right.
Yeah. It's actually, it looked pretty good. I didn't watch it all. But, no, this is, this is what I'm drinking for my big beverage. Polar, black cherry, sparkling water.
The reason I was late, or I wasn't late, but the reason I wasn't sitting down when you logged on is because I was grabbing a LaCroix black raspberry from the fridge. Naturally essenced. I guess that's a legal way to say artificial flavors.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, not artificial flavors, natural flavors, man.
No, they're not flavors, they're essences. Natural essence. Essenced. Natural essenced.
I guess, oh, wow. Yeah. Naturally essenced,
like somebody stood over a vat of soda.
Like they had it done to them.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the big sandwich because that is the title of the episode. Even if it ends up being called something else, that's the big sandwich podcast episode was a real turn for GudeLaurance. They Paul was on his phone instead of the iPad. It was crazy. Just all sorts of weird angles. So Jennifer made a pot roast.
Yeah.
And she was not happy with the way that the vegetables turned out.
Okay.
And she didn't like the gravy aspect of it.
Was this a new recipe she was trying? Okay.
Yeah, it asked for cooking wine.
Okay.
And the cooking wine that she used was too sweet for her liking. And so she got rid of all of those pieces and just turned the pot roast into sandwiches. And this sandwich is great. But you know what the sandwich could use, Ben, that it doesn't have?
Cooking wine.
And that Jennifer would never... No. But that's good. But that Jennifer would never herself put on it.
I don't know what that would be.
Horseradish. Think about the lovely taste of a roast beef sandwich with horseradish on it. Do you like horseradish, Ben?
I don't really care for it. I don't dislike it, but I generally don't seek it out.
So,
which I could say about a lot of foods I don't eat.
There was a place, and now we get into the sandwich again. There's a place in Illinois that we used to get sandwiches from.
You're still in Illinois, Paul.
Always happens.
I know. I've heard Jennifer correct you a couple times, so that's now my job.
There is there is an actual ID for people living in Chicago. That is a legal state ID, but it's your Chicago ID. and I'm getting mine. It should be showing up pretty soon.
Interesting.
Um, but there's a place in Southern Illinois
Yes.
where you visited me, that had a restaurant called 54th Street. And there was a thing that Jennifer simply called the sandwich that was from 54th Street. They had a version that had horseradish on it, but she didn't order that version. She would always order the one with the garlic aioli on it.
Okay.
So, so again, this is very good, and I love it. But I'm a big fan of horseradish. So
You like the spice that it brings.
I do. Um,
Although horseradish
here's another
sounds like a cowboy curse. Ah, horseradish.
horseradish. It does. I do agree. Oh, hey, by the way, Ben, I invite you to call anyone who makes you mildly upset this holiday season a jingle horse.
A jingle horse.
Yeah, that was something that Betty kind of picked up on. From, of course, so hurry up, jingle horse, pick up your feet.
Yeah, yeah.
The idea that jingle horse is a slur is pretty funny.
We were talking about the electrics here at the theater because we have to hire Daniel Christensen to come in and install some new junction boxes. Because the fire department is unimpressed about all the extension cables that we use around the theater. So we were sitting around talking about Alex King was here, and we were talking about the J boxes, and I'm just like, you know what? J box just sounds like a slur to me.
Yes. Stick it in your J box, you jingle horse.
Look at that J box walking down the street.
Not good.
And by
Okay,
that
so
I
it's
mean
time.
for outlets. Anyway,
So, sort of a Ben's going to guess the news, but it's not really you guessing the news. It's you guessing what news article I'm still obsessed with, or what news story.
I don't think we travel in the same news circles, Paul. Or at least go deep dives into the same news circles. So I don't know, but I'm guessing it has something to do with generative AI.
No,
No.
it's not. Although I do have one.
Does it?
Think about that.
Does it have something to do with politics or the political landscape?
Sort of, but not really.
All right, and it's not sports.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Although, let's talk about the generative AI one, since you guessed that. I didn't even think about it, but it is something I've been looking at. There is a new model that they're planning on putting out, called public diffusion. And the people that are doing it is a group called, one second, I've almost got it. Normally we don't look stuff up, but this time I had to.
public diffusion enemy number 1.
Oh man, I told you about the time when I saw a guy walking a Chihuahua in Seattle wearing a Public Enemy shirt. I'm like, well, there you go. That's
They're no longer cool because that white guy walking a Chihuahua is wearing one of their shirts.
Or does that make it just okay? You've made it. There you go. That's
Yep.
it. All right. So
I'm the lyrical Jesse James.
So I would never, ever, ever accuse Chuck D of being gentrified by a man wearing a Public Enemy t-shirt. So here's the question. It's called Spawning. That's the group that put this out. They announced PDM 12M, an image-to-text data set with 12.4 million image caption pairs that will eventually be used to create a model. Ben, what is the interesting thing about this data set, why are people both for and against it?
Is they're not? Do they have license for the images that they're using?
Ben, you got it in one. Everything in the data set is either public domain or Creative Commons
Okay.
and allows for generative works to be built off of it. So,
like it's an ethical generative AI thing. Yeah, air
ethical
quotes.
quotes.
Yeah.
People who love AI and people who hate AI both have problems with it. What do you think the problem is with the people who love AI in
Not
its current form?
not enough data.
No,
That's limited. No. Okay. Um,
I'll
Creative Commons, public domain Creative Commons does not train the data the way the users want it to be trained.
even more basic, even more emotional, if you will.
The pictures aren't cool.
Nope, I'll give it to you, Ben. Here we go. Um, the fact that they're doing it implies that the models that they're using right now are unethical.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
Like, why should anyone have to do this? We're already not breaking the law.
You're implying that I'm a bad person.
Which again, I was, like I said, and I'll be forthright on this. I was in that camp of just learning off of it. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, the things that come out of it are their own unique things that's just learned from it, et cetera, et cetera. But the poison well, then the images that trained off of weren't consensual, and therefore everything that comes after it is
Right.
questionable. So there's that. Now, people who are opposed to the way things are right now are still mad about it. Why would they be, and what reason might they have to be critical?
Are they are they suspicious that not all the images are licensable, are public domain or Creative Commons? Do they think that
I haven't heard that criticism.
Otherwise licensed images might get in? Okay. It's just propagating the generative AI usage, and the more we do it, the more works are going to be stolen, even if you try to do it in a air quote ethically way.
I mean, that is an interesting take. Not the one I heard. Again, this is one that, you know, it is unfair. Jennifer talks about this all the time, where I just come to her and go, "Hey, Jennifer, guess what this guy said," and she's like, "I don't know. Just tell me what the guy said." The amount of energy that it takes to train on that many images is still going to make an environmental impact.
We got to build more nuclear reactors.
Now, the one thing is that, of course, what they've done right now, they've just made the data set, which doesn't have that same problem. So we'll see.
It's the training what uses energy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Which is one of those things of like, okay, so if you use if the model is ethical and you know they have built it, it's one of those things of like, you know, well, am I really causing a problem if I, like, you know, the vegan thing, right? Well, the cow's already dead at this point. You know, if you're at a village and the village has sacrificed a cow, you know, they normally would have eaten themselves for you. You know, is it unethical to refuse it? Well, because then the meat's going to be wasted.
Right, but then next time they won't kill the cow.
Right. That's the idea. So if they train it once, they use all that energy. If you use it on your own home computer, since it's already been trained, are you still guilty of that? And the idea would be yes, because you're using something that was made
Yeah.
that then did that. So I don't know. But that is not the thing that I was thinking. There's another there's another story. Also, one of my special interests that
And I'm gonna need some
speaking of
more
news.
hints because I'm not going to guess based
Okay,
on what story you might be thinking of.
right now the story is mostly focused on the United States and mostly focused on the eastern coast.
Is it the drones again?
It is the drones again, but what's the new thing about the drones, Ben?
Didn't know there was anything new other than the government is saying don't worry about it. Trump has said shoot them down. And people are other people are like these are just airplanes, or this is like the belt of Orion is what you thought were drones.
So all of this is true. The new piece of information is that the FAA has declared a bunch of new areas in New Jersey as being drone-free sites.
Right.
That if you fly a drone in there,
It's now
or
restricted
you fly
airspace.
your, yeah, exactly.
And is that
You
going to
can,
work? I did hear that today, and I'm like, well, that's not going to work because whoever's doing this doesn't really care.
unless nobody's doing it, right? I mean, that's the official idea is that nobody's doing it, that there really isn't anything going on,
Right.
or the people that are doing it legally, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people are saying
It's a drone club.
if this is legal, um, why are they flying in restricted airspace? Well, the fact that they now made these areas restricted means that maybe it wasn't restricted airspace before.
Right.
And then the other thing they say is if these are aliens, why would they be using FAA guidelines for their lights? And again, this is one of those things where Jennifer would say, answer your own question. If these are aliens, why would they be using these lights? Yeah.
That was also one of the reasons somebody shot down the assumption that these were either Iranian or Chinese drones.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I saw one lawmaker go on, I
Yeah.
can't remember what channel, and he's like the Iranians have parked a mothership off the coast and are flying these drones in, and so one guy was talking to like a drone, another like drone expert, and he's like, "Do you think these are foreign drones?" And the expert was like, "No. Why don't you think these are foreign drones? Because they would turn the lights off."
Right. When I was saying, oh, well, Ben, who do you think the guy was talking to when he said, what news station would he be talking to
Pick
if he
one of
said that this is
pick one
Iranian
of
and
pick one of
Chinese?
three. There's one. Pick one of three.
And people did not challenge that, and instead said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Pick one of three.
Actually, you know what's interesting? Do you know about? I think it's News Nation. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Do you know about their history?
I don't know their history, but I do know that they advertised to me on X.
So they used to be WGN in Chicago.
Oh, really?
Which was an independent news station.
Yeah.
That then became like they became a sort of a national syndicated TV station as WGN Nation, I think is what they called it, or WGN America, one of the two.
Yeah.
And anyway, then it became News Nation. So that's
So this was either on Fox, News Nation, or OAN.
The News Nation apparently has been, for every other station's claim of fair and balanced, etc. They actually apparently do seem to be middle of the road. So I think it was Fox. Pretty sure I remember it being Fox.
You're saying News Nation appears to be middle of the road?
Yep, according to the people that are rating news stuff.
I have not seen that. I've only seen them categorized as far right.
Wow, maybe
Yes.
I'm thinking of the wrong place.
You're
Hold on.
thinking of the wrong place.
Okay, hold on. Either that or it's just one of those things of I am thinking of the right place, but I'm thinking the wrong way about the right place, which is also possible. The Right Place, Stephen Wright's sitcom that didn't get off the ground.
They should attach some drones to it.
Hey, hold on.
Lift it up.
Who's this guy?
Can't do it anymore. This airspace is restricted, sir.
So Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, and I'm looking at WGN. WGN America. WGN America became now operating as cable-oriented TBS. What?
Your story's
Oh
starting
no!
to fall apart.
No, Atlanta WTC. It said that it was the second nationally distributed superstation after Atlanta station WTCG, which became TBS. Okay, there we go. So let's see here. Yep, News Nation, Ben. That's what it is. And let's see.
The ceiling
Originally codenamed
fan
Project Neutral.
The ceiling fan in your room there is a nice crown on your head.
Hey, yeah, look at me. And there's a little glow behind it too. So anyway, yeah, it is News Nation. And yeah, I don't know, man. So you've heard News Nation as now there is another far right thing that has the word nation in it, I think. So, now I'm wondering what you're thinking of. Is News Nation conservative?
You know, it's funny because what we used to consider extreme is now more normalized. So it's possible that they might be considered center, even though in the past they would have been considered pretty far right. Because
I
just
really
the way
think
our
that
politics have shifted.
I really think that you're thinking of a different.
No, I don't think I am.
Because News Nation, it says I'm looking at a couple of different places.
You know, we can drop this. We don't need to spend the entire show you trying to prove me wrong.
Oh, but Ben, I need to. Okay, is there a possibility that there's a different news organization?
Not going to give you that satisfaction, Paul.
Oh man.
Nope.
Why do you do this?
Can't
Why
do it.
This is
it's part of your therapy.
I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right, Ben. This is it's just tough. You and Jennifer are both being very helpful, even though it's very difficult. Okay, we're moving on to something else. I'm not gonna think about it. So anyway, yeah, the drone thing. Now the interesting thing, you're a videographer, Ben.
Sometimes.
What is the name? And I think you're going to know this. When you take an out of focus light and it becomes like a sort of orby-looking thing that is aesthetically pleasing, often used in some ads and some video things.
It's called a bokeh.
A bokeh.
Bokeh.
So, here's the question. There have been some, and I don't know if you've seen this, and if not, I'm going to ask you to take a look at it at some point in time. There are some shots that people have made of drones that look like bokeh.
Okay.
Right? And people are like, well, you're just filming a light. It's out of focus. That's why it looks like that.
Yeah.
And some of the people have said, no, I'm professional photographer, this is in focus. This is just what this thing looks like. Um,
I mean,
again,
the barrier to entry to call yourself professional these days is very small.
yeah, Occam's razor, you're all holograms. You remember that? It's a fun little. Um, but yeah, so the question is, but there are two different ways that people are thinking of it. Some people are saying that bokeh, the bokeh are just that, just
Yeah.
this is what you're looking at. There are other people who are like, well, here's the thing, the bokeh are able to shapeshift into drones and planes, and so that's why it looks like it's a bokeh, but then all of a sudden it becomes a plane. It's not because the plane has become into focus, it's because this orb has transferred itself. So those are the two camps right now.
Those camps seem pretty extreme. Like, is there a middle
Well,
ground?
the two camps are these are all airplanes,
Oh
or
yeah, okay.
you're actually
Or
beams
shape-shifting
of
aliens just
yeah.
who care about New Jersey.
And then there are people in the middle that are like, hey, couldn't it not be either of these two things? And then the other people come in and tell them to shut up. This is what, because the people that say, hey, these are all planes or regular drones or whatever, are saying, don't encourage them. I'm not going to go middle of the road with these people because they're insane. And the other people are like, you're astroturfing this, uh, and flooding this forum with all these pictures of things that aren't aliens to make people forget that there are aliens, like that sort of thing.
So
right?
is there a subreddit where that has sprung up because of these drones, or have they taken over sort of like
Okay,
already UAP subreddits?
so all the UAP subreddits and alien subreddits and all that are all taken up with this drone thing,
Yeah.
right? New people who've never been there are now showing up and calling everybody names, etc. It looks very suspicious, right? But there's another one called NJ Drones that just got created for this thing. And that one, in and of itself, is also kind of the same. Uh, you and I have talked about this before. What is the biggest issue with these kind of things? Why can you never really get to the bottom of anything?
Why can we never really get to the bottom of anything
Yeah.
in terms of these drones?
Well, in terms of any arguments that happen online
Oh,
about
are you talking about
what's
how
real
you
and
don't like it when people who disagree don't talk to each other?
I don't like it when two things when people who disagree uh like talk to each other, but more than that, talk to each other and you don't know who's talking to who because everybody's anonymous.
Right.
Because there's a great clip from a comic that I had never seen until like I guess maybe a week or two ago. It's Batman, and Batman
Batman's
is
your colleague?
uh, someone comic. Did I
Oh,
say what?
I heard
My
colleague.
colleague, Batman. Well, somebody finds out Batman is Bruce Wayne, right? And they're going to leak it
Yeah.
online. And so Batman gets in and he makes a whole bunch of forum accounts. And he has one saying, Batman is actually Bruce Wayne! Exclamation point. And then logs into another account and says, I've thought this myself. Look, if you take a picture of Bruce Wayne and then you take a picture of Batman, their jawlines are the same. And then he logs into another account and says their jawlines aren't the same. Look, this is taken here, and this is taken here. It doesn't make any sense. And somebody else puts, no, Bruce Wayne is actually Batman. Batman killed Bruce Wayne and replaced him in 1992, and you can see from that, like it just floods it,
Flood
and they're like,
flooding the zone with crap.
yeah, and then they're saying, Bruce, what are you doing? He's like, well, now if it leaks that Bruce Wayne is Batman, everyone has already heard that story and is already sick of it. So
Just wagging the dog.
yeah, I love it. It's great. I want to put it up as a poster and then just not think about it. Oh, hey, by the way, um, you know Tootsie Rolls, right? I love them.
I'm familiar. We went to high school together.
Tootsie also makes dots.
I did not know Tootsie made dots.
Well, they do, and on the back of it,
Tootsie dots.
you see this?
Oh, there's a
They have
code.
a thing saying, "Can you complete this pattern?"
They look like numbers that are back to back or front to front.
Yep, you're exactly right. That's a 9, an 8, a 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Earth
And then
below us.
which dot is bigger? Come on, Tootsie Roll. Don't mess around with me.
The one dot in the larger circle or the one dot in the smaller circle?
They're I just had to make sure they're the same. I do want to do that sometime.
Did you measure them? Are
Say
they
which-
the same?
Yeah, well, I measured them in my own special way. Let's not get into it.
Using a laser.
So I do want to do that though at some point in time. Make all the optical illusions that we already know, but actually have one of the lines be longer. Which line is longer? Oh, they're the same size. Well, actually, no.
Wrong, sir. You're wrong.
And yeah, exactly. Which is this facing to the left or to the right? Actually, it's both. No, it isn't. It's facing to the left.
Everything
It'd be
you
fun.
ever heard was wrong.
Oh, Weird Al. Yeah? No. Yes? No. Maybe? Oh, I had a dream last night, Ben, by the way.
It's usually when dreams happen.
I was I had a dream in the middle of the day while driving on the I-05.
Can you come get me from the hospital?
Can you come get me? And why am I still in my house? This is a problem.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's not really my house, but it is my house.
there's some guy who was talking about this that he's like, I'm never going to do drugs again. I, got super high and then got into a car accident while I was sitting in the hospital. I realized that I was actually still on my couch. That kind of thing is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about dreams that you have when you're asleep at night. And
Due to natural causes.
I was at a book signing that Donald Trump was at. And he was wearing a green sweater.
Was he the one signing books?
He was signing books. He was wearing a green sweater, and I wasn't in line to get my book signed. And I didn't have a book. But I was sitting, like, with my back to him, and he was leaning against me. Like, where he was in the chair, and he kept on leaning back and leaning into me.
Okay.
But the thing that I thought was interesting, I'm like, oh, wow, he's actually being moderately cool and chill. And the whole line got done. And then he's like, and no one was, there were just people filing through. He's like, okay, I guess I'm done. I'll see you guys later. And he just walked out. And I walked up to these two kids, these two younger guys who were kind of in charge of the event. And I said, you know what? I have to say that you did a really good job of, making this cool and chill. And the guy that I was talking to said, yeah, well, it's just like an aisle 5 thing. Whenever you're going inside of one of those tunnel types, you're going to have an aisle 5 or a 10, and you just have to make it work, And
did that make sense to you in the dream?
in the dream, no, it didn't make sense. And I was like, huh. And the two guys looked at each other and started laughing. And the guy's like, yeah, it's a totally crochet bin, man. And I was like, okay, I think I see what you're saying. What you're saying is that if I were going to be some sort of a commonplace Tin Man, then I would go inside of some kind of a Fluvian chocolate factory. And he's like, now you got it. And they were like, that guy's pretty cool. And then I woke up. And no, the last part, I forgot. One of the kids said, so a selfie? And I was like, a selfie? Okay. And I was like, he was here, and I was like trying to do this. You can't see. I'm making a sour face and pointing at him like, so that if he posted anywhere, it would be like, why am I hanging out with this right-wing guy?
Who is this guy?
But he was covering my finger with his hand.
How dare
and messing up my deal. Then I woke up. And I was like, whew, good thing that didn't happen for real.
It's funny that you had a dream where you were sort of making friends with the people on the right. I had a dream recently where I was walking along a road with a friend of mine, an actual friend that I have in real life. They were in the dream, and I had to use the bathroom. So I went into this building, and it turned out it was like a conference center. Like there's like a big meeting room, like in a church, like you would find it in a church. I go in, I use the bathroom, and fortunately, when I use the bathroom in the dreams, I don't actually soil myself, which is a nice feature of my body. Um, but when I was walking out, I realized
Oh,
that
you don't soil yourself in real life. Yeah, I have the same thing.
when I was walking out, I realized that it was like a clan meeting, and it was and I was for whatever reason in the dream I was wearing all white,
Oh
and I'm
no.
just like, all right, well, I'll. It's like a white button-up shirt and white slacks, and they see me and they're like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm going." And the rest of the dream was me and my friend like running away from these people who are chasing us because because they rightfully decided I was not on their side, and how dare I use their facilities. And so I have a lot of dreams like that. This one had an interesting like story, but I do have a lot of dreams where I am being pursued, and I'm
You know,
constantly just trying to get away from somebody.
Ben, I have dreams exactly like that. In real life, one time, I think I might have mentioned this to you before. It might even search the audio. We might have even talked about this before, but I was in Columbia, Missouri, going to college, and I had this thing where I would dye my hair
Yeah.
and then cut it off and dye it again, and eventually, when you get into that sort of a cycle, you end up shaving your head at some point where you're like, okay, I just have to start over.
Yeah.
So I had a shaved head, and these two skinheads who were in downtown Columbia saw me, said something to me, and then started following me, shouting stuff at me
Yeah.
because they realized that I wasn't one of them.
Weren't on their side.
And yeah, how dare I guess use their bathroom metaphorically.
Exactly.
Um, and the only time that anyone like who wasn't a skinhead took offense to me, like thinking that I was one, changed his mind pretty quickly after talking to me. Like, but that was a thing that I had to deal with a little bit,
Yeah.
which is a little crazy. Talking about and hey, why not using the bathroom and stuff in dreams?
Yeah.
There are so many times where I have a dream where I'm starting to use the bathroom, and then it turns out that it's not a bathroom I should be using, or like the bathroom is really dirty and I didn't realize it was when I first started using it.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh no, now everyone's going to think that I used this bathroom and made it disgusting or whatever. And then, like you, what happens next is I wake up and I'm like, oh, thank God. Because I had a dream where I was peeing for like a good solid 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and nothing happened.
This probably happens to you. Like when in dreams when I have to go, I'm like searching for a bathroom, and they are disgusting.
Yep.
And sometimes but oftentimes if I don't find one, I'm like, well, I guess I'm peeing in this drawer again, because I
Yeah.
always pee in this drawer. It's my pee drawer.
Yeah. Ben, did we talk about the pee drawer?
Probably. This is
I think
episode
so.
460.
Because I have dreams where there's a desk and I'm peeing in it. A lot.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
weird.
do you have the pee drawer dream as well?
I do, yeah, and it's not just in a desk. It's like sometimes it's like where clothes are, or sometimes like in a wastebasket. But like,
Yeah.
there's
But when you're doing it, it's one of those things where it's fine,
yeah,
and then you think about it, and you're like, well, wait a second,
yeah.
this probably isn't good.
I also like in these dream bathrooms. They're very public, and I'm not a like public
Yeah,
pier. So like I'm trying to find a bathroom, but oh, this toilet is like next to this room where my family is. I
yep,
can't use this.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, man, we've never talked. I don't think we've ever talked about this. You and I have the same pee problem dreams for sure.
Yeah.
Have I told you about Annoying Man Tom and Piss on the Fridge Tom?
Annoying Man Tom and Piss on the Fridge Tom.
When I was in college, there were two guys that we knew named Tom,
Yeah.
and to differentiate between the two of them, we used those two monikers.
Hopefully they won't listen to this.
Yeah, hopefully not. But Annoying Man Tom was, as you could guess, annoying.
And a man.
Piss on the Fridge Tom, you can imagine.
Piss on the fridge, Tom?
Yeah. Okay. So this is what happened. We were all sitting around watching a movie,
Yeah.
and so my friends Bob and Bill were roommates, and we were in Bob and Bill's dorm room watching a movie on the TV, and this guy named Tom walked in, who we didn't know that well, right? He looked at us, got a really weird look on his face, and said, "What are you guys doing in here?" And then peed on the fridge.
This fridge is now mine.
And so the next day, he was like, "Dudes, you won't believe this. I had this crazy dream that I walked to the bathroom and you guys were all sitting on the floor." And we're like, "Okay, so part of that happened."
Meth, never again.
Yeah. That guy was a drinker, not really a meth guy.
Okay.
I didn't know that many meth guys, and I for sure didn't know that I knew them at the time that I was in college. Although there was a guy that I worked with at Subway who admitted that he was a crack smoker. He was a white guy from like out in the boonies, and he was like, "Yeah, it makes things easier.
It makes life
like,
go away."
And I was like, "I don't know if that's true. I don't."
Yeah.
That was a weird Subway. I think I talked about this. If I didn't, I'm not going to break any confidentiality rules. I think it's been quite some
The
time.
statute of limit that NDA has worn off by now. Run out.
Yeah, because I was like 17, 18 at the time, and this guy was my manager at the Subway. I had to pick him up at the county jail, drive him to work, and then once I was at work, he was in charge. And so he'd go, "Okay, I'm taking off." And I'm like, can you do he's like, "Who's your manager?" I'm like, "I'm the manager." "No, you're the manager." He's like, "That's right. I was never a manager." So he was like, "Yeah." And then he'd leave and he'd come back. And eventually, I snitched, I suppose. I was like, "Hey, is he supposed to be staying at work when we do it to my manager?"
Yeah.
I'm like, because he was my manager, but then there was a manager
Right.
over, and they were like, "Yeah, no, he is supposed to be here." And then he was not the manager after that. Apparently,
You
what
got
it
his
turns
ass
out,
fired.
yeah, it turns out that not only did I get him fired, but I got him in more trouble. Now, granted, let's be honest, he got himself into more trouble.
Right.
The reason he was in the county jail is because he had an underage girlfriend.
Jeez.
And he was an older guy. And apparently,
Like when you're 17, what does an older guy mean?
Like 30,
Okay.
probably.
And his girlfriend was probably like 16 or 17?
Yeah, something like that. But apparently, when he was leaving work, he was trying to find her. Like, that was the whole thing. And so I'm like, I was never called in to, like, testify or anything like that, so I don't know if anything, like, officially happened. But it was one of those, there were a couple of situations that I've been in where I'm like, Well, that's actually, me meandering through life and not realizing until like years later that, oh, this was a worse situation than I thought it was. Because all I knew at the time was that he was leaving work when he wasn't supposed to. I told my manager, and then he wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And then I found out, I guess, like, because that subway was still around and I was still there. I found out a couple years later that he was the reason that he got in trouble is he was violating his work release because he was trying to, find his girlfriend. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they said, and his girlfriend was underage at the time. And I'm like, oh. So at the time that all that was happening, I didn't know that. I just knew that I didn't know what he was in for. I didn't know
Right.
any of that. I just knew that he would show up to work and then leave. And then, like 3 years later, and by that time, it's like, okay, well, I can't do anything about it now.
And why would you even want to at that point?
Well, maybe tell them the first time that he left,
Oh,
or what,
just fill in
you
the holes.
yeah. Oh, I don't know. This
I was
lion head is
I
really
was
weird. This,
I was working at Life Touch. Actually, I shouldn't say where I was working. I was working check or disregard. I was working at a job.
did you beep it? You're working a job. This
Yeah.
one time,
So I had a coworker. We were in the warehouse, and a coworker seemed kind of distressed. I asked what was wrong, and she said that her ex-husband was in prison. And I'm like, oh, and like not really didn't want to push, but she goes, yeah, they caught her. They caught him with an underage girl, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. I didn't really know her, but I'd never met her ex-husband. And she was like, but he's not guilty of anything. In fact, he was trying to help her, And I'm like, well, whatever, I don't know. And
okay.
and she went on to say, I know he's a good guy because I've known him since I was 12. And this was her ex-husband. And she couldn't have been more than 25 at the time. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm getting a larger picture of this.
See, see, see you later.
See you
That
later.
sounds
See you on the job site.
so. I at first, Ben, this is going to be, and I apologize. It's going to be a little dark for just a second.
Okay.
Okay. So at first I was like, oh, you bleeped out the name, or you're going to bleep out the name of the place that you were working at. Maybe I should also bleep out the name of the place that I was working at, because I'm sure that they wouldn't want to have people think that employees of their company are involved with underage children at all.
No, no. I'm sure
And
that's
then
something that they would actually rather not have.
and then I was like, okay, well, remind me to tell you what I heard another comedian say uh, after the podcast. I'll let you know, Ben.
All right.
Again, if you want to listen to what Ben and I talk about after the podcast, you can join our Patreon, which does not exist. And if it does exist, something terribly wrong has happened. We have about 4 minutes, Ben. I just wanted to say, the holidays are coming up.
Yeah.
Jennifer and I aren't getting anyone anything this year because we moved.
Yeah.
We don't really get each other things. It's not something about us. But I did want to wish you happy holidays, specifically happy holidays, happy non-denominational holidays, man. And I just wanted to note
No, Trump is president again. We can say Merry Christmas again.
something. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, the war on Christmas has
Thank
been
him.
put on hold.
Yeah. So, the one thing I will note is I have found something very interesting about ordering food. When I order from a food delivery company,
Yeah.
right, a specific order that I have is about, $64, almost $70.
For all three
If
of
I,
you?
yeah, if I order it from the place itself, and then we go and pick it up, it's $33.
That's quite the
And
difference.
and when I purchase it from this place on its own, there is not a tip jar, and there's no place to write tips on the receipt. It's just the price.
Okay.
There are several places in Chicago that are like that.
Yeah.
And I found it interesting because in the other places that I've lived, it hasn't been that way.
Tipping culture is I mean, you've probably seen it on Reddit and like the mild infuriating thing where like places ask for tips like for everything. And
Yep.
it is a growing movement I've noticed here in Seattle where restaurants are doing away with tipping, and they're just raising their prices to make sure that all the employees are being fairly compensated.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So so apparently the same thing.
It's not so yeah. When they get, I mean, I'm assuming this goes for most of the restaurants that get rid of tipping. It's probably not for all, but when they get rid of tipping, they say we don't want you to tip. They are paying their employees a fair price.
Yeah.
Employees aren't, the servers specifically aren't dependent on the tips for their paycheck. I went to Pamela and James and I went to go see Tokyo Godfathers at the Central Cinema last weekend, which I told you about, and they did that.
We actually talked off of the podcast about it.
Yeah, because I'm like,
I
was like, did you bring that movie up to me recently? Because it's an odd coincidence. Anyway, yeah, they have done away with tipping and service charges at Central Cinema, and it's just like their prices reflect how much it costs to run that joint. And so when you buy like a hot dog and a bucket of popcorn, that's the cost. Plus tax, I'm sure. But yeah.
Oh, and speaking about we're almost to the end of our broadcast day, Ben. But I guess we should mention the government might shut down.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. It's December 19th, 2024, and there had been a bipartisan agreement. President-elect Trump said, "Hey, you guys should renegotiate this." And one of the big things that they're trying to get rid of out of it is disaster relief.
Right.
There are some Republicans whose constituents need that disaster relief. So it's
yeah. There were one of the president-elect's more prominent advisors I heard had pushed for this, pushed for the government shutdown, and even said, "Let's shut down the government and not do anything, not pass any legislation or anything until Trump is sworn into office on the 20th."
Yeah. So, and it may happen. So interesting times afoot. Here's the thing that I think you and I are going to unfortunately live through interesting times. I feel as though there may be a split in the Republican Party during these 4 years.
I think there's a split now, but it's just that the people who aren't MAGA are afraid to say things.
Oh, I mean, not even just a split, but a schism. Like it might turn into two different parties.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll just have a Republican nominee Mitt Romney and a MAGA nominee Donald Trump, or soon J.D. Vance.
And those two will run against each other.
And then we'll have President Gavin Newsom in 2028.
Who's Gavin Newsom? Remind me.
He's the governor of California. He's just one. He's just one of the people that all the pundits think are pretty sure are going to run. Like Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, AJ Pritzker. There's a couple more.
AJ Pritzker.
Oh, I'm thinking of AJ Brzezinski. I think he's a baseball player.
Okay. Hey, maybe him too.
It's possible. Anything is possible in this brave new world we're entering into.
Yeah.
A lot of people want AOC to run. She's now 35.
That'd be interesting.
I don't think the Democratic Party is ready for her yet, based on the fact that they didn't let her have the chair of the House Oversight Committee recently.
Which is, yeah, also interesting, but whatever. Um, yeah, we'll see. And also, you've got the other thing that isn't a party, but is still going to make a difference in United States politics, which is outlaws. Outlaws.
Outlaws.
24. Yeah, the basic idea that they're just going to be people doing crimes, and people will do crimes, and people will support them doing their crimes.
Well, wasn't that part of Trump's stump speech where he says you should just give the cops a day to like do the purge, that way it solves crime?
Hey Ben, I just want to let you know I farted, and it looks like the microphone picked it up. And on that note,
And with
I
that,
think, yeah, we're good on both those fronts. Um, and behind, hello, what's
both of
and
your fronts.
always a pleasure to talk to you. I will see you.
Yeah.
And it's fun too with the timing of the holidays. We're going to be able to. It's going to be Boxing Day.
It's gonna be Boxing Day the next time we speak.
Yeah.
I'm actually seeing my family on Sunday for Christmas. So one of the things I get to do today is on my way home pick up some final like gift bags and things to bring to my family's Christmas on Sunday.
Very, very cool. We are, of course, not going anywhere. We're just going to be here, as already talked about.
Yeah.
But that should be good too. It's snowing,
Yeah.
so that's something.
You don't have to go anywhere if you don't. You shouldn't go anywhere if you don't have to. All right, Paul. Keep it
Exactly.
wrong. How's it happening?
Keep it wrong. How's that been?
Talk to you
later.
Talk to you in a minute. In a
Yep.
sec on the GudeLaurance podcast.
Yep.